So let's start. This is your first year here for Coull. Tell us a little about what you guys do, where you're based, you know, where you are right now.
Yeah, we're headquartered in Bristol in the UK, but got offices in New York and Santa Barbara and San Francisco in the US. We're trying to take the uncertainty out of buy-in distributed video views, you know, in this sort of open sort of internet. You know, there's just a mass sort of proliferation of distributed snackable video sort of content that's out there, and nobody knows what it is, whether it's fraud, is it viewable. So as a company, what we're doing is actually trying to get an understanding of what that content is. Not about the user, we're focused on the content, we're focused on the context, and then presenting that to the buy side in order for them to make a better informed decision as to whether they really do want to buy that sort of inventory.
Okay, so you're sort of really serving the advertisers and the brands. And what is that sort of, what's that quality assurance checklist, right? Tal just actually did, Tal from Innovid just sort of clarified that, you know, fraud is broader than just non-human traffic, right? So there's blatant attempts of a publisher or an aggregator of content to defraud an advertiser, right? There's non-human traffic, there's viewability, which we default to the IAB standard, which is what, 50% the video is viewable, the duration is 1 second.
Yeah.
That's the viewability standard. That seems so aggressive to me. And then, you know, and then there's the sort of additional list that Kevin from Venome just talked about, which is the type of ad format, et cetera, you know, which is more qualitative indexing that I think is binary. I mean, does that delay the ad call? Like, it feels like there's so much stuff that we have to look after now. You know, with how much certainty can you deliver that distributed video is actually, you know, you can check all those boxes for a buyer?
That's a really good question. I think it's baby steps really in terms of what's true value. You can pick up a huge amount of data points, but you know what's valuable for both sort of parties. In December we had 15 billion video views in 150 countries, you know, that we were processing and getting ad requests in on. And it's taking the sort of making sense of that sort of volume and understanding, you know, what is, as I say, what's a real ad request, what's a real video view. But things, simple things, unmasking URLs, you know, where that's a pretty important one. You know, viewability, absolutely, you know, looking at the bot stuff, but also working with partners like Peer39 and sort of incorporating that sort of pixel within the tag to sort of see what, again, the context and of where these sort of video views are. But really, you know,
Talk me through the context a little bit more detail.
Well, there's a paucity of data around, you know, where these, you know, first of all, what is the content? Is it sports? Is it entertainment? Let's just go back to some sort of simple stuff around the content itself. You know, let's get some information from the metadata from the publisher as to what it is. You know, what device is it on? What countries it's coming from? You know, how long was it viewed for? And there's lots of signals that a video view really gives us that can give us a pretty well-informed decision as to whether or not it's a person watching it or if it's a bot. You know, whether it's if it's on a continual loop, that same video is just getting played and played and played and played and played, you know, in the same location.
Because the ad server didn't frequency cap?
Well, you know, we're as an industry, we've got to.
I'm like, it feels like we're solving problems that I thought were solved.
Well, isn't that the conundrum of our industry? Actually, you know, we're as an industry, we can slap ourselves on the back and say we're doing a great job, but you know, when you look at it, we could do.
Was that an ask?
We could be doing a lot better, you know, and the assumption, there's a lot of assumptions made in digital, and when you actually strip it back, you know, it's a dangerous thing to do. You know, make assumptions. So, you know, you know, the growth of our company, I'll put some sort of context into the sort of demand for what it is that we're doing. January of last year, after we'd built the tech, we had 150 million video views for the month of January. As I said, we finished December with 15 billion video views, and we're on track to do about 1 billion a day. And
those are video views with pre-roll inventory served.
This is video views, just a view of a video. May not have an ad on it at all.
Okay.
Okay. These are just video views. So what we're doing is aggregating another YouTube pretty much globally and making it, adding tech onto it to wrap it up to make it fit for purpose in order for the demand side, the buy side, sorry, to go and want to place ads on it. So you know, there are a lot of companies out there that distribute video content, but they're not tech companies. They don't know how to fix the fraud
And
problem.
where's the semantic side of brand safety, right? So that's the content side of it. How does that come in? Because again, that's less of, I mean, brand safety, sort of the semantic business logic behind figuring that out, the content itself is a little bit more art than it is science right now. How does that fit into all of it? Because if you're trying to put yourself at parity with YouTube about brand safety and everything else, that's a big part of it.
It is, and we don't, you know, we partner with companies that do that. We don't do that ourselves. So, you know, I think when I take a look at the sort of YouTube, for example, I'm old enough to remember when they started, you know, of course, but you know, you'd go to any sort of brand and they'd say, well, there's no way we're going to place ads on YouTube. It's not a safe environment. And same with Facebook, you know, no way we're going to place ads on that. It's not a safe environment. Same with Twitter. It's not a chance is that a branded environment. You know, what happens is that companies just layer technology on and remove risk. And that hasn't been happening. It can't happen in the distributed environment where it isn't just YouTube anymore. And that works for all sorts of different content owners, whether that's a tier one, if you want to call it that, publisher, or a sort of tier two or tier three. You know, videos get distributed, and then videos get put into all sorts of different sort of domains, different URLs, and nobody really knows where they are and what and you know what's around them, what context they're in. So I think for our side, it's about tidying that up, getting some first-party data around that video, and then presenting it, you know, through, you know, programmatically, you know, for somebody to make an informed decision as to whether they want to buy it or not. That presents another different problem about how you expose that data within an exchange.
Right.
And
Or you just don't expose it and you create binary decision points around the ad delivery.
yeah, and I think that's why, you know, you're going to have an increased sort of, the private marketplace is just going to increase because you can't in an open exchange expose the sort of level of data that you'd want to. So I think that's going to, you know, absolutely grow in the short term, and I think until tech can sort of again solve maybe the inefficiencies of the private marketplace, you know, because ultimately tech should be solving that in some way.
So 15 billion, or was it 150 billion?
15 billion views.
15 billion,
yeah.
right? So you close out 2014. What are you going to close out 2015?
Well, I think in the from a you know, one of the metrics is views, of course, but then, you know, it's the right view. So we're trying to work out, you know, sort of how we measure that in terms of the right view. But in terms of the performance of our business, you know, we're on a real roll as a company. What I'm very proud about is that 80% of our revenue comes from the US. We have sort of 4 people here, and it's growing. It's sort of growing out. We've got 43 people in the business. We're profitable.
So 12 billion of those views were in the US.
Yeah.
80% of that.
Well, 12 billion. No, sorry, 80% of our revenue is in the US. So across those 150 countries, the views came from all over the place. No, I think it's, and again, that
You're
sort of
overcharging
reflects.
us? Is that what I'm understanding?
I just think you guys are just great at buying the inventory that we're offering. I think we're just doing a great
here.
job.
I think it should be the other way around. So awesome. Okay. Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.